Hey, what's going on, everybody? Elite After back with a brand new video. So today I want to talk about something quite important, and that's the aspect of what the future of businesses will look like here in the US post the pandemic. And the reason for me sharing this with you guys is because I want you to be comfortable around understanding the landscape of how to do business going forward, and what are some of the common things that we'd have to be on the lookout for when it comes to actually getting things done and progressing in front of our customers the best possible way we can, so that we can deliver them the value and that we can actually capitalize on these opportunities, as we start to do business. Now, I want you to pay close attention to the infrastructure and how you're using it. So we're going to talk about 5 things, and I think that all of these 5 key critical components are going to help you essentially become a better business, but also at the same time considerate towards capitalizing on taking care of your customers, as well as profiting quite a bit more than the traditional way of doing things. So stick around until the very end to get the most value. The first thing I want to start off with is talk about flex price point. This is a topic that, a lot of people don't want to discuss because they're not comfortable offering flex pricing. And what that is essentially is, if you have a product or service that you're offering to your customers, a flex pricing model essentially enables you to break down that price point on a monthly basis instead of charging all up front. There's 2 benefits to this. Number one, you'll get a lot more customers because of the affordability scale, right? For example, if a customer has to pay you, let's say $5,000 for an air conditioning unit, and that's the only one-time deal that they can do with you, and then they spend that money, what happens now is, they're kind of, there's a small remorse there of the costs. Of course, the product can be amazing, but the financial deficit is going to catch up. It's going to actually hurt them because they're thinking, oh my God, I just spent $5,000 and I could have spent that a little bit spread out or used it for something else. Now let's assume that same air conditioning unit costs you $1,000 from the manufacturer, or perhaps $2,500, and you can have offered a monthly flex plan, which is you put the down payment of half, which is your cost of the manufacturing plus a little bit of extra. And then the rest of the $2,500, or let's say even $3,000, you can add a little bit more now, can be paid over the next year. So now it's like $250 a month or something like that. The reason why this makes a lot more sense is because, number one, you just reduce the price by half up front, and then the rest is basically financed out, and your cost of manufacturing is already done. So obviously, if they're just buying the unit, then the installation's on them. Now you can offer service installations and all that kind of stuff as an added bonus to improve the life cycle of your business and the cash flow for your business. But flex pricing requires you to be adaptable, because now customers are actually looking for ways to reduce their costs. They're being very picky in reference to who they choose to do business with. And sometimes, it's not as easy as it sounds. They're going to go ahead and try to find the best possible way to reduce their budget when it comes to buying and spending on certain things. So that's one way to look at it, right? So that's what we call the flex pricing model. And the reason I think this is important for us to pay attention to is because the flex pricing model, it's very common in a lot of different service-based industries, and especially with installations and stuff like that. Another clear example of the flex pricing model is if you're a roofing company and you're installing roofs for your clients. And there's a scenario where you can create arbitrage, and that way is basically offer them financing. Now, that doesn't mean you have to come out of your pocket for the roofing costs and everything like that. You can actually go to a financial institution that specializes in contracting services, and there are private institutions out there that offer financing to your clients based on certain credit parameters. Perhaps their credit is not proper, but there are certain things that you can do. And I think that having that level of flex pricing model in your business going forward is a very critical component to the success of how your future is going to be. So that's the first point I really wanted to point to you guys. The second thing I want to talk about, which is quite obvious, is the sales and marketing aspect needs a shift. So a lot of us, we're in the sales and marketing space, and we try to sell the products and services to our clients. And what ends up happening is sometimes that sales and process and marketing process is a very uncomfortable territory that we have to deal with, because we feel like we're kind of being very salesish, or we're trying to do certain things that is just not adding up. So for that reason, we have to concentrate on offering something that is exceptionally well in terms of messaging, in terms of how we go ahead and speak to our customers. It's no longer about the specifics or technicalities, but rather the results you can create and the backstory behind why you believe that. And of course, having some sort of proof that your customers are well taken care of also does help quite a bit there. So the circle behind marketing and sales needs to be shifted towards more of a customer-centric approach. And I think that's very critical, because if you don't do that, your business will definitely falter. And that's something to think about. So that's the second point, really. So restructure your sales and marketing message to where it actually concentrates towards customer-centric rather than product-centric. And I know that this probably has been said quite a bit, but very few are actually doing it, and nobody's actually taking steps on that. So because of the situation we're in prior to this, there's a lot of businesses that got away, they were sloppy, and they were okay with it. But now there's no room for sloppiness. Now there's literally no room for sloppiness, and you have to be at the top of your game to perform the best possible way to get the best results. And that means your messaging has to be on par, and you have to do the very best you possibly can to get those results across the board. So restructure your sales and marketing as a way to get into the business world a little bit more structured in a sense, and it's more welcome to the marketplace. So that's the second point. The third point I really think it's important is the way you create impact around you as your business is driving its feet. And what I mean by that is I speak to a lot of investors on a regular basis. These are centimillionaire families who have hundreds of millions of dollars in assets allocated to small and medium-sized companies as well, in addition to the traditional stocks, bonds, and real estate, aggressively real estate, that is. One thing I've learned over and over again with them is the investments that they make when it comes to individualized companies or behind the owners is they look at the company culture and how much of an impact the company has made to the employees, to the customers, as well as society in general. What they want to make sure is that this company will thrive in the future. It has an open door policy to where it's actually accepting feedback from the communities. It's actually accepting feedback from its employees, its customers, and actually creates impact in their lives in a positive way that attributes to long-term success, because investors want their money to be safe. They want to make sure that the capital being allocated is going to a place where they have trust behind that, and the management team behind it, and the company culture behind it that has a sustainable model. So creating an impact in your business is something that you have to think about. And I'm not saying this to you because I want you to raise some capital. I'm saying this because the automatic model here is that it'll enable you to attract customers on the long run because of the value that you're going to create by creating the impact that you also create. And from that angle, you can push it out there and say, look, the impact we're making in our communities is calculated by A, B, C, and D, and create an accountability plan around that, and create key performance indicators that enable you, which we call in short KPIs, that enable you to follow through on those key metrics and milestones to be able to help your business achieve that milestone and hopefully help your customers along the way as well, which is a very critical part to how we should be doing business. So that's the third point, really, is to create impact on the way you do things and the way you drive yourself forward. The fourth point is the aspect. Well, let's assume that you're a food business, and let's assume that you're serving your customers food, and they're coming to you on a regular basis, and because of the COVID, obviously they might not be eating indoors. And I'm just giving you an example of the food business. It could be universal to everything basically, and how you treat it. But now you got to show a primary concern and more transparency around the way you are maintaining the cleanliness and the health and safety hazards around the stuff that you're behind, and having transparency around that, and actually documenting it and explaining to your clients and your messaging as well. That you are concerned about their safety and health, and you are doing your very best to ensure that you are following all safety protocols. And here's an additional couple of steps that you're taking to make sure your clients are well taken care of. And having a full transparency message around that, and actually showing them the process as well, sometimes even documenting through video or whatever the case, or even a clear document or an inspection or some sort of certification that goes a little bit further to tell them that you do care about their safety and health, and you want to prioritize that because you value them, and obviously based on the messaging of your marketing and advertising and the impact that you want to create, along with your flex pricing. On the fourth point here being safety and health, and priority around that is going to really elevate your business to the next level, because that's the way to really market yourself a little bit more differently than the traditional people out there. And if you want to stand apart and you want to be commoditized, that angle of approach needs to be prioritized in terms of transparency, of a concern for you towards your customers, that you do care about their safety and well-being, and that you're prioritizing that going forward. So that's the fourth point. And the final point is be selective of the progressive and the joint ventures and partnerships that you create. And the reason I say that is because Marketing ads and advertising budget and ad spend has reduced significantly over the past couple of months for a lot of businesses, including Fortune 500 companies and so on and so forth. The biggest thing they're looking onto is aligning themselves with strategic partners that either have the same vision or mission or some sort of alignment based on the product and services that they have that'll be complementary to the other partner, and basically cross-referencing their systems and services and products to create a universal skill to be able to help all the customers who fall within that purview. Now, when you're selecting a partner or going into a joint venture, you have to be very careful as well as to see whether the mission statement of that partner that you're going into aligns with what you got going on. Because the last thing you want to do is that you're following your side of the 5 rules that we just talked about: flex pricing, advertising and sales messaging being restructured in a very positive way. You're creating impact in your customers' lives. You're thinking about their safety and health. And finally, the fourth, fifth, and final point here being that you're selective of the partners that you choose to ensure that we're all aligned in the same mission statement and vision. You're following all those rules, and the other partner is not doing that, and all of a sudden it puts you in a very huge and uncomfortable position that can be potentially damaging to you. And if that's the case, then you're basically going to be endangering your ability to create long-lasting change with your clients, and that's going to actually hurt you quite a bit, and it might actually almost destroy your business if you're not very careful with that. So just think about the partnerships that you structure, be selective with it, make sure that you align yourself with the right people based on the quality that we just discussed. And this will give you a different angle to actually expedite the growth of your business. And hopefully you can take it to the next level if you follow these golden rules. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick, short, and concise video. To the point, 5 indicators of the things that you need to follow and the strategies that you need to follow to be successful post the pandemic. And hopefully your business is thriving right now. If it's not, if you're going through a hard time, you just want to have a strategy session. You want to discuss with me about, hey, Ali, what can I do more? If you're a healthy company, you were healthy prior to the pandemic and now it's a little bit too much, you want to sell it off. Not only do I have a large network of investors, but my group as well, we're looking into businesses. Whether it's a distressed business as well, we don't really mind. If you have a lot of debt and all sorts of things, bankruptcy is not necessarily your only option. There are alternatives, and there's no money up front to deal with us. So that's just one thing I want you guys to know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing and turning the notifications on to all. So every time there's videos like these, you will be the first to know. If you want to see more of these business discussions and topics and ideas and strategies, let me know in the comments section and say, Ali, really enjoyed this. Can you give us a little bit more? And I'd love to hear from you guys. If you think I missed a point that is very critical towards doing business post-pandemic, feel free to mention it in the comment section. I definitely appreciate that as well. Again, smash that like button so the YouTube algo can go ahead and push out my content so the people like yourself who are enjoying, hopefully, the content that you're watching can also get the same type of messaging. So with that said, this is your guide and mentor. I'll definitely catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.